Hi, everyone. So, can't believe it's week 7. Really hard to believe. As you know, the mid-semester grades are due this week, and I would like just to go over how I'm calculating them so that you're clear on that. I'm basing them on discussion boards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So discussion boards 1 through 5 will determine your mid-semester grades. However, if you did not submit a store visit project, I will deduct at least 1, if not 2, letter grades from your mid-semester grade. So for example, if you had a B+ average and you did not submit your store visit project, then I will either give you a C+ or possibly a C-. So very important. I'm giving you, and I've already written to people who have not submitted their projects, I'm giving you until this Monday to submit your project. After that, I will not accept it. And unfortunately, that represents 20% of your total grade for this course. So that's going to have a very significant impact on you. Anyway, let me go on a little bit about your store visit projects. So I have partially graded them, and partially in that you're going to get a 2-part grade. So 70% of your grade is really based on the project itself, and then 30% of your grade is based on you watching 2 other of your classmates' projects and then commenting on it in a substantive manner, commenting on both of them in a substantive manner. And that's worth 30% or 30 points. So I've already graded that section. If you go into your grade book, you'll know you've gotten some amount of points out of 30. And I should have your completed grade based on your individual video submits by this Sunday. I like to watch videos twice before I give you a grade. I also like to mix up how I watch them because I have a tendency to be a little more nitpicky on the first ones I watch, and then I get a little more lax towards the end. So that's why I like to watch them twice. So this way everyone gets a really equally strict or equally lax grade, depending upon how you look at it. So anyway, this week, week 7, can't believe we're in week 7, we have a couple of things that we're doing. If you notice here, we're going to go over what to do in week 7 in a minute. Definitely we have a discussion board on the growth and trends of digital merchandising and commerce. And some of you have already started to participate in it, and it is due this evening. You have a digital merchandising brief read that I would like you to read there. And then also I'm giving you here the directions for the case study analysis. So here's what to do in week 7. So again, you're reading, you have a brief read on digital merchandising. You have a discussion board where we're talking about the trends in digital merchandising and commerce. This is going to be setting you up for week 9, where we go into omni-channel, which is incredibly important for what's going on in retail currently. And when I mean currently, I mean right now. Omni-channel has been on everybody's horizon for the last 5 or 10 years, but it's really, I would say, the last year or so become really objectively, everyone has to participate in it, or you are going to be part of this retail Armageddon that's going on, right? Where everyone's declaring bankruptcy and going out of business, right? And that's been happening also for a number of years, but this year seems to be, we're poising to have an even bigger impact, and you're going to see more and more stores, more and more well-known nameplate stores closing. Then you're going to have the case study instructions and the actual case study. So right here is the actual case study. I think you'll enjoy it. This is a case study that I have co-written with Professor Segarra. Some of you may have had her for other courses here at St. Francis. So that is free. You do not have to purchase it. You can read it. It's a fairly short read. I would suggest reading it over spring break if you have some free time. And let's just look at some of the directions for the case analysis. So when you read the analysis, there are going to be 4 questions in which you're going to address. And again, this is not going to be an overly long paper. This is looking for about 600 to 800 word paper. And we're using APA format. In management or in the business discipline, you use APA. Please do not use MLA if you're in a different discipline. In this course, we are using APA. You will lose points if you do not follow APA. I want to be very clear, a 600 to 800 word paper is not a 500 or less word paper, nor is it a 300 word paper. And just to give you a frame of reference, in APA, generally each page is about 275 words, okay? It needs to have a cover page. You must have headers. Please do not give me one run-on paper without any areas where you're sectioning it. You should have at least 4 distinct areas, although I would suggest that you have an introduction and a conclusion as well. Your paper should be paginated. In other words, it should have page numbers on it. Okay? You should use other references, a minimum of 2 other references, and you should use proper citations, including in-paper citations as well as a reference page. Every time you state something in your paper, unless it's something that is a common fact, for example, the sky is blue, for example, the President of the United States currently is President Trump. The president of St. Francis is Dr. Miguel Sainz. Those are common known facts. But if you start to quote statistics or you start to quote anything that is from the case study itself, you must use a proper citation. Also, the way in which you write needs to be formal. In other words, it should not be colloquial, which is an informal writing. So we're looking for a college or a professional level writing. So I'm giving you some examples here, right? So replace something along the lines of due to the fact of with something along the lines of the fact support or supported by or regarding or pertains to. Pronouns really should not be used. Use full names. It's less confusing. For example, replace they with the organization or the cohort or the group. Abbreviations and acronyms should not be used without previous explanation. So for example, I would never write just SFC. I would write St. Francis College, in parentheses, SFC, and then that's the first time I'm referencing it. If I go on to use SFC again, I can just use SFC because I've been very clear to explain what SFC means. Don't assume the reader is familiar with your niche topics or any particular subject matter. Make sure that you're being very clear. If you want, you can consider using footnotes to explain the subject matter. Now, I'm saying use footnotes. Technically, in APA, you're not supposed to use footnotes, but I'm going to allow it if you want to use them to explain something that maybe is very detailed that you want to do an extra explanation about. I am going to count syntax, grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Please proofread your papers. I do not count that in discussion boards because I consider your discussion boards as if you are speaking in class. And I would never stop anyone in class and say, oh, you just made a run-on sentence, or oh, that was grammatically incorrect. I'm not going to do that, but I will do that in a more formal paper, which is what I consider this case study. Do use industry-appropriate terminology. Use the concepts and theories discussed in all the text and articles that you've read. I want to know that you have understood, that you have retained that those terminologies, and that you understand what they mean. In terms of formatting of references, I always suggest you don't do this manually, that you actually use some formatting tool, either from the Manage Resources a feature in MS Word, or you could even go into a research tool such as Zotero to help format your references. So I'm going to leave you off here. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please email me, call me, or drop by my office. Thanks so much.